Hello friends, welcome back. Myself Vikas Shakya. I welcome you all again on my channel. And today we are going to discuss about the chapter number 1, Vedas, from the book The Holy Science. In this book, we are going to discuss the verse number 7 till 10 from chapter number 1. The name of the chapter already know that it's Vedas. So in this chapter, basically the essence of Vedas has been explained. Essence of Vedas in what sense? Essence of Vedas in sense that how we can understand it scientifically, that how this nature was created. That portion of Vedas from where the creation of the nature has been taken, the logic of creation of the nature has been taken. It's not basically logic. Logic is something which is already existing in an existing system. When you get to know that yes, this is the existing system, and within this existing system these are the things which already work. So your logic comes from the modus operandi of that system only. But yes, who has created that modus operandi? For example, you know that tRNA, mRNA, these are the two basic components which creates the protein in our body. But who puts this tRNA and in mRNA and mRNA in the nature? That's the main thing, right? The tRNA and mRNA, they create the protein. That's the modus operandi. So your logic will move around this only. But who has created these tRNA and mRNA? Who has put them into the nature? How they came into existence? That is the main thing, and that is what has been explained in Vedas. So Vedas is the science of sciences, right? So Vedas is a science, S-O-S. Let us write it like this, science of sciences. So Vedas are the science of sciences, right? How the nature has been created, what is the modus operandi, that all has been explained in the Vedas. So in the Vedas, the portion from where the creation of this nature can be understood, that portion has been explained by our own Sri Yukteshwar Giri Ji Maharaj. So he has explained all these things. So from previous videos you can relate the things, and I would like to say that before you come to this video, and if you have jumped to this video directly, I would recommend that you cannot understand a single thing from this video until you go back to my playlist, the same playlist in which this video is there, and you go there and you just read all the things, you understand all the things that have been explained in those videos, right? But still I will explain those things which can connect you from the previous video. So there were two things which I would like to explain to you. Let me have the duster here so that I can easily rub off the things. So first thing that you must need to understand, that there was a particle, there was a single particle which is known as the God particle, right? This is known as Brahma. This is known as Brahma in the Sanatana scriptures. In the Sanatan religion, in the Sanatan dharma, we call it Brahma, not Brahma, Brahma, right? Parabrahma, Brahma. That is known as the God particle. That God particle start vibrating, right? If you read Gayatri Mahavigyan, there is another book by Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya, and on our channel we are going to start the playlist for the Gayatri Mahavigyan in Hindi, right? Very soon I am going to start that. So in that book, it has been clearly explained that what is Gayatri, right? So Gayatri is nothing but when this God particle starts vibrating, then two waves start running. One wave starts in this direction like this, and the other wave starts in this direction, right? The wave that starts in this direction, this creates the nature, right? Our nature, our entire creation, that is the nature. So this wave which is going towards the rightmost direction, which is known as the creation or the nature, whatever has been created by this wave itself which is creating this nature is known as the Gayatri. I'm writing in Hindi, it's known as the Gayatri, right? And the modus operandi of this Gayatri, to generate from this wave different kind of elements are generated, different kinds of things are generated, and ultimately those things are converted into small particles, right? They are all these small particles. Everything has been made of the small particles, and the study of these small particles in Sanatan religion is known as the Sankhya Darshan. That is known as the Sankhya Darshan, where you study about these particles and the nature of these particles and how they create the body, how they constitute all the elements of this nature, all the compounds in this nature. That is known as the Sankhya. That is understood or that is studied under the Sankhya, right? So this nature is created by this wave, This wave is basically at some point of time when it starts traveling, then at some point of time it reaches to a frequency. I mean, this starts from here. At this point of time, at this place, basically, the vibration, the frequency is different. But when it goes in the rightmost direction, then in that case, at some point of time, it reaches to a frequency level where the frequency of any wave matches with the frequency of the light, right? Matches with the frequency of the light. So from this location onwards, right, that energy level where that that location in the universe, that location in this entire creation, where this wave converts into where this wave reaches to a frequency level which is equal to the frequency level of the light, that is known as Maharloka. Maharloka in our Sanatan religion, right? There are 7 lokas, there are 7 worlds, you say, right? So those 7 layers are nothing, those 7 worlds are nothing, they are just the energy levels in this entire creation. This energy level, at this energy level, the waves attain a frequency of the light wave. From here onwards, the entire creation, right, it starts it starts getting represented into the form of the particles, right? Because the light, the light waves work in 2 forms. They have dual nature. The light waves are the waves as well as the particles, both are the nature of the light, right? So light has dual nature, particle and the wave. So from here the particle starts coming, right? So these particles, when constituted together, when condensed together, they create different forms. Those forms are represented in the form of mountains, in the form of elements, in the form of our human body. So all these things which are combined together to form something is known as Maya. All these elements, all these particles which are combined together, they are known as Maya, right? So when you see this wave, right? So in this wave, when these particles are starting traveling in this direction, then you pick one particle, just pick one particle, and you can consider that particle as a as a rod, right? So this rod can be considered as a magnet. So there are 2 poles of the magnet, P1 and P2, right? So this P1, right, this P1 is getting attracted towards this nature in which we are in, right, in the Maya, right? And the other side is attracted or pulled towards this direction, right, which is known as the intellect, or in Hindi we call it buddhi, right? This direction is called as manas. In Hindi it is called as manas, or the inner what you say in the Hindi we call it manas. In the English you can say like mind, right? Mana, right? So manas or mind is in this direction, right? So because our mind gets illusioned, or our mind gets is interacting with all the parts of this nature, so that is why this portion which is known as the manas is in this direction, and it creates all those things with the help of these particles, which can which can fulfill the desires, whatever feelings are there, whatever bhava. In Hindi you say it bhava, right? The feeling of sadness, the feeling of getting something, the any kind of lust, all those things we want to achieve. So all those lust which can be achieved in this direction, they are governed by the manas, right? So I hope you are understanding. So all those are created by this power only, right? So now come to the main part from verse number 7 to 10. Now I hope you are understanding what we have explained till now. Now let us see the other thing, right? So that each of the particle that I showed you, there were 2 poles, P1 and P2. Each of these particles are known as avidya. Avidya. In Hindi we call it avidya, right? And these particles which are under the influence of the light, when it comes into the when this wave comes into the form of a light, then it becomes particle as well, because the light works as the particle as well. So these particles are known as chitta. In Hindi we call it as chitta, right? Not chit. There are 2 words, chit and chitta. Chit is pure, without any light, and chitta is with light. When it comes with the light, it's you can consider that when it comes into the influence of light, then you can consider that some kind of a clock has come into the influence of a battery, and after in coming into the influence of the battery, it will now start running, and it will start functioning properly, and since it is starting functioning properly, so it can be understood that watch or the clock, wall clock, is itself understanding itself into a separate existence. It has a separate existence. It has a feeling of that I have a separate existence, but in fact you put the battery into it, that's why it is running. But suppose, just hypothetically suppose that the machine, or you can say the wall clock, is understanding that it's me who is working at all the things I'm doing, right? Something like that. So that clock, that wall clock, if it thinks that yes, I am the one who is running, there is nothing like battery, that is something, is the situation of we humans. We think that there is nothing which is governing us, which is running us. We think that all the things we are doing, right? And that's how the atheism gets generated, right? Because in the absence of this knowledge, the atheism prevails, right? So chitta, so this particle is known as the chitta, right? Now comes to this chitta, when it comes into the influence of the light, then it becomes chitta, and it comes under the influence of ego, because when you have this feeling that I'm the one who is doing everything, then what is generated? Ego is generated, right? So now, under the influence of these particles, under the influence of this wave, these particles are running into one direction. So under the influence of this traveling, or this kind of wave which is running in this direction, and these particles are something like, I can make it a bigger one. So this is P2, this is P1, and they are running into a direction along with that wave, right? So I hope you are understanding that wave on the right hand side, which was running towards the creation, right? Where the creation is there, right? So now what happens, that under the influence of the under the influence of the that wave which was pulling it in this direction, under this influence, this entire particle, which is known as the chitta, generates generates a kind of magnetic field, right? This creates a magnetic field, and in this magnetic field is known as the sattva. First of all, let us understand what is the meaning of sattva. So one wave was in that direction, right, which was pulling away this particle into the right hand side direction, and this also this thing which is this was the other direction. This direction was also pulling this particular particle, right? So in this direction, when this was pulled up, then this is known as this direction. When in this direction it is pulled up, then a magnetic field is created, right? Entire magnetic field is created, due to which this magnetic field has given a name sattva, right? A purity, right? Purity is the piousness, you can say. This piousness is generated, this is called as sattva. So this particle, when it is pulled towards the backward direction, in the direction of the sattva, or in the direction of the god particle, the god's direction is the left hand side direction, and the nature's direction is on the right hand side direction. Just for the understanding, right? You can understand it from the top and bottom itself. It can be something running on the top and something running on the bottom, but here for the simplicity we have taken it from the left and right perspective. On the left hand side, when this particular magnet, a kind of, this is that this is kind of polarized particle, right? This is a polarized particle when it is moving into the right hand side direction. So this is a kind of magnet, this is a polarized particle. So when this polarized particle is pulled in the opposite direction, then this is known as, then whatever magnetic field is created, that magnetic field is known as sattva, or you can say the purity, right? So this is how the magnetic field of sattva and manas is created. So manas is also attracting towards in one direction, and sattva is also pulling it into this direction. Sometimes most of the times, this force which is pulling you towards the direction of manas is higher, and this force which is pulling you towards the god, or towards the god particle, is less, right? That is why most of the times we are just stuck into this creation. We are just stuck into this creation because we are getting every particle through which we have been made, every particle is pulled towards the manas direction. That is why we are away from the god, that god particle, right? So this magnetic field, which is known as the sattva, that you have understood that what is the scientific explanation of that thing. And now let us see the other thing. Now when this particle, the P1 and the P2, when this particle is under the influence of the magnetic field, then in that case there are five electric powers, electrical particles are generated, electric bipoles are generated. So from where they are generated? They are five in number. They are generated, one from the one end, right, and the other from the other end, this way, and then one from the middle, right, this way, and one from the, between these two, and the last one from between these two, right. So you can see this way. So these electrical powers, or these electrical particles, these are known as the electrical dipoles. Electrical dipoles. These are known as electrical dipoles. Why they are known as electrical dipoles? Because each of the electric power, like this one, suppose we take this one, okay, one electric power, one electric particle, right, electrical particle. So this is an electrical dipole. One end is positive, one end is negative. I hope you must have understood the electrical dipole in the physics, right? So one end is positive, one is negative, and the middle part is neutral, right? Positive, negative, neutral, right? Because it's dipole, so there will be a position where the things are neutral, right? So now let us make it bigger and let us understand what does how does it constitute the things, right? So these five electrical powers are representing our five senses, right? One organ, like our eyes, is made of one kind of electrical power. The other organ, the five sense, we are talking about the five senses. The other sense is made of the other electrical power, third one from the third, and the fourth and fifth one from the different electrical power. So our eyes are made up of some electrical power, right? Electrical particles are there, electrical dipoles are there, which are playing role to make our eyes an eye, right? You already know that we have a nervous system, and it's very simple to understand that in our nervous system, everything is running as a electric charge, right? When you touch something, then an electric pulse is generated, and a reflexive arc is created, where if you touch something which is very hot, then in that case this message reaches to your mind, and your mind gives a reaction, and then the complete reflexive arc is completed and the reaction is completed, that you just pull your hand back, right? So this positive, negative, and neutral part, these are the parts. Let us understand these electrical dipoles are creating five senses, right? I hope you are aware about the five senses. I'm not going to tell about them. Just understand that there are five senses, and each of the electrical dipole is creating one of the senses, right? But only senses are not sufficient. Those senses have the subjects, like our eyes has the subject to watch, to see something, right? So seeing something and making an eye, right? Something which makes our eye an eye, that is a particular thing. And the subject, like what is you have to see, the feeling to see, right? That feeling also, that I want to see something, that feeling, that bhava itself has some kind of charge, right? So what is that charge, how that charge generates our entire body, right? That's all has been explained in this particular in these particular verses. So let us take one example. Let us take the example of our tongue. Okay, let's take the example of our tongue, something which makes our tongue a tongue, right? So what are the five senses? Those five senses are the sound, feeling, taste, smell, and the form. Whatever we see, roop, whatever we say in Hindi, we say it roop, something which is in the some form, right? So that is the roop, right? So let's bring one of the electrical dipoles, which is the electrical dipole for making our tongue a tongue, which can taste something, right? So let us take that example and understand what does it says, right? So we know that there is a electrical power, electrical dipole, plus, minus, and the neutral portion, the middle one. This plus is responsible for making an eye or a tongue as a tongue. Tongue of tongue. This plus portion is the tongue of the tongue, right? Which makes our tongue as a tongue, which makes our tongue to feel something, to test something, whatever we see, in this nature, whatever we can taste, right? Whose taste we can, enjoy. That thing is the power of electrical dipole. That electrical dipole is known as the positive portion of that electrical dipole is known as the tongue of the tongue. Similarly, it will be an eye of an eye, right? In case of other electrical power which makes our eyes, right? So this portion makes that particular electrical energy. Please mind it, it is not tongue. This is not the real tongue that you are able to see. This is tongue of the tongue, which means, listen it carefully, which means this is that electric power which makes your tongue to be able to test it. I repeat, this is the electrical power. This positive pole makes it possible for our tongue to be able to test. That electrical power which makes our tongue to be able to test and feel it is known as the tongue of the tongue. So this tongue of the tongue is the entire electrical dipole. It's not only the plus portion. Plus portion just creates the tongue of the tongue. Plus portion just creates the tongue of the tongue, which is invisible. That is only a power, electrical power, which will make a tongue as a tongue, right? Then comes the neutral portion. But before we come to the neutral portion, let me tell you one thing, that this plus portion, I have made it reverse. This plus portion is attracted towards sattva, the purity, towards the God, right? So this is, pulled towards the, under the influence of the God particle, it is pulled towards the left hand side, right? So when it pulled towards the left hand side, under the magnetic field, this particular positive charge, the end of the positive charge, this electrical dipole has a positive charge, and this is attracted under the influence of the magnetic field. You have already understood previously that there is a magnetic field created because of that particle, which is known as the chitta, getting attracted towards the God particle, right? So that is known as that that magnetic field is known as the sattva. In the influence of the sattva, in that magnetic field, when it is attracted, then it creates the manas, right? This is attracted in that magnetic field. This entire dipole is attracted towards, from the positive, negative, this entire one. You can forget about the positive or negative. This entire electric charge itself, right? This entire electric dipole itself is attracted in the field of in the magnetic field, which is created due to the attraction towards the God particle. So due to that, it creates manas, right? That you can understand. So you understood what is manas? It creates the manas, right? Manas is important because manas is the one which creates the feeling, or which creates the desire for having something, for having the test. In this case, to have the test. In case of eyes, to want to see something, right? So in this case, this manas is responsible for generating, for producing, or stimulating that end, which is the negative end of this electrical dipole. This manas, when it is attracted towards the God particle, then this end, which is the negative end, this end creates the feeling, the lust. You can say the lust of taste. Lust of taste is created from the negative end. The thing which makes your tongue a tongue to be able to taste is a positive end of the electrical dipole. But now, if you see, there is only electrical energy, right? There is only electrical energy. With the help of this plus side, there is only electrical energy which is making it to be able to test, but there is nothing using which it can test something, right? But here, from the negative end, we have the feeling of test. From the negative, it has been created. But how this tongue of tongue will meet it? There is nothing. This is other electrical power, other end of the electrical dipole. This is other end of the electrical dipole. This one can consume this. This tongue can consume the test. But how it will do? So to do something, right, like to test something, this neutral portion creates the real tongue that we are able to see. So from this neutral portion, our tongue, whatever you are able to see, this tongue is created from this neutral portion. Same is true for all the other sensory organs, all the five senses. I hope you are understanding. From the plus end is that portion of the electrical dipole which makes your sensory organ to be able to sense something. It's just an electrical energy. It is not real organ. Real organ is made of the neutral portion, and the negative portion is the lust of these senses, right? So from the negative portion the lust is created, because lust is a feeling. That feeling makes you, makes a change inside you, and that change increases the negative charges inside you. We will discuss about the aura based on these plus and minus charges. So in this one, as of now, we can confine ourselves into this description there where the plus and minus charges are there. Okay. So now neutral one creates the body part. So now if you understand, there are five plus, because there are five kind of electrical dipoles. So there are five pluses, there are five minuses, and there are five neutrals. Overall, due to five sensory organs, 5, 5, 5, 15. So there are 15. Let me just rub it. I hope you are understanding what I am trying to say. Right? This is very important chapter, and that is why I am going very slow. Right? So there are five pluses. There are five minuses creating the lust for each of the sensory organs. These five creating sensory organs. These five negatives creating the lust for those sensory organs, and rest of the five, which are the neutral, creates the original organ. So original organs are created from the neutral part. So that's how these becomes the 15 overall. 15 plus 1 is manas, and then 1 is intellect. In Hindi we call it buddhi. So how many it became? It became 17. So these 17 particles are, or you can say these 17 things constitute together to make a body, make a jiva, which is known as, which is myself, right? Complete jiva, which can perform something. So my body itself contains everything. My body contains everything. I create, to send my messages to you. I use my mobile, right? I need something which is in between that electrical energy, or you can say that wave energy, which is going from here to you. There is a need of a smartphone, right? So something which I am just conveying to you can be considered as positive, and you who want to listen, or my feeling that I should make it possible for you to listen to me, that can be considered as a lust, that is negative. And this smartphone through which I am recording can be considered as made of the neutral portion, right? So this complete thing is because of this 17 portions, right? So 17 components. So all these things make together a single body. So all the things that are available in this creation are inside us. So if we are able to understand that how to use these powers and how to use our own body as the, because our body is also there. So with the help of our body, if we are able to utilize these powers, then we can do something which is known as the miracle. But that will be in fact the science of this nature. In Gayatri Mahavigyan, that is why it is known as the Gayatri, the science of the base science of Gayatri, right? Gayatri Mahavigyan, right? So that also we are going to understand, in some other playlist that will be in Hindi, right? Because I also find myself uncomfortable speaking English, right? Let me frankly tell you. But yeah, because this is holy science, I want this to be to reach to masses, right? Not only to those people who understand Hindi, who read Hindi, but to everyone in this country, or beyond the border of my country, which is India. So from beyond the border of the country, I want to expand this. It's not my wish that I should make this in English. This is my intention that it should reach to everyone. So whatever way, in the not in a good English, but yeah, in a kind of English, I'm able to convey it, I hope, right? So if you are able to understand these things, then you can feel and understand my feelings, my intent, right? So if you are able to understand the intent, please share this video to, as many people as possible, as many friends as possible, right? Because this is the science which was hidden, and which was hidden by everyone, because the person who has written this book, he wrote this book in the English because people in India who understand Hindi, they were not able to accept all these things. He need to write it in English, and this was most of the times this was accepted by the foreigners, right? The scholars of the foreign, the West, they have accepted this book. But unfortunately, we being Indians are have been kept away from this knowledge. So I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say, and I hope you will be able to, you know spread it out through the masses, right? Because this is the essence of Vedas that we are understanding. So in the next video we'll meet soon again. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye.